is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Limited Resources. This is episode number 833. My name is Marshall. I'm one of your Limited Resources, and joining me on the line all the way from Denver, Colorado, it's Luis Scott-Vargas. Luis, did you get a chance to watch Worlds at all?
I did. I tuned in for Derek Davis's draft on day 2, and that was a pretty rough one, not going to lie. I think props to him for making top 8 and going 2-1 with that deck. That deck was not, he didn't have a smooth draft.
It was a bumpy ride.
I certainly would have diverged from what he did to a degree, and I know you and Paul were pretty surprised by some of the picks. But I also think he wasn't going to have a fantastic deck from pretty much any point in that seat. It was just a rough seat to be in, and he did play quite well when I watched him play. So I watched basically that whole draft, and then that was about it. It's tough on the weekends to watch too much with the kids, and then also half the time I really like the commentary. So
yeah, it was an eventful limited weekend, no doubt about it. I mentioned it before, but we had limited at Worlds, and it took up a large percentage.
More important limited, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they cut 2 rounds of constructed because Worlds was a little bit smaller. So as a result, it was 6 rounds of limited, 8 standard instead of 10, which means that relatively limited is, as it should be, more important.
Yes, indeed. So,
well, not more important overall, more important than it used to be, I guess.
Yeah,
but we'll have to wait on the all limited event. That's coming. It's coming. The limited championship is hoping to be there at least.
Yeah. So lots of great stuff over the course of the weekend, but it's time for us to focus back in on the Last Airbender Limited. And with that in mind, we're going to be doing our draft walkthrough this time. That's where we do not 1, but 2 full drafts to kind of take the Crack-A-Pack experience to its natural limit. And it'll, open up the, kind of the approaches that Luis and I have to the format at the moment about how we approach the picks and the packs and everything like that. So we're going to be doing that. Before we do, I want to say thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/limited resources if you'd like to support us there. We also want to say thank you to Ultimate Guard. They make the best stuff in the business. If you're looking for holiday gifts for any Magic playing friends, Ultimate Guard is going to have something for you. They make products that protect your cards at every level, whether it's the individual card level, the deck level, or the whole collection. You're going to find really well thought out premium material products that do a great job of their job, which is to protect your cards and make sure that you can keep playing with those cards for years and years and not have to worry about them losing value along the way. If you want to check out their full line of products, you can go to ultimateguard.com and you can pick up their stuff at your favorite local game store or online retailer. Thank you, Ultimate Guard. We do appreciate it. We've got a Patreon question of the week. This comes from Otto, who says, is there a design space in Magic that has previously failed that you feel has potential and that you'd like to see tried or retried? Or perhaps there's a space you feel that hasn't been explored at all that you'd like to see attempted. This could be mechanical or aesthetic.
Honestly, one that comes to mind to me in terms of like squandered opportunities is digital designs and like Alchemy. Alchemy is maybe one of the worst products they've ever made. Like first of all, the main conceit of like, we're going to rebalance standard cards and you'll play them in Alchemy. No one liked that. They should just move away from that. That I think is pretty clear. Like people aren't interested in that. But every now and then they have a really cool online design. Like there are some really good ones. Like Oracle of the Alpha, I think is just a fantastic design and I think is really fun. But I would say like of the Alchemy designs I've seen, I don't know, 95% of them are not only like not good, but like extremely bad. I just so far have not found them to be particularly fun. And as someone who's worked on a lot of like digital games, like there's a lot of cool stuff you could do. And I thought that was a cool opportunity for the Arena team to do that. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're, maybe they had difficult goals. Maybe they didn't have resources. Maybe they, maybe didn't have the most experienced designers. I don't really know what the process was at all. All I know is that the Alchemy stuff is just not that cool. And I think that could have been really cool.
And there's something there. There's some meat on that bone, you think?
Certainly. Look at all these really cool digital card games. You can make cool online-only designs. Magic just hasn't done that.
Do you think it would be best as a separate game?
No. I think that you could just make cool Alchemy designs. I'm not saying that should be something they do a ton of or spend a lot of resources on. So I can't necessarily fault them for like maybe not prioritizing it. But if you're going to do digital designs, like just do cool, fun ones. Like they know how to do some of those. Like some of them are really cool and fun, and some of them aren't, and most of them aren't, unfortunately.
Yeah, for me, I look back to the mechanics that I always am happy, and to be fair, they do go back to these. But mechanics that I really like to see over and over again are the reasonably costed ones that smooth out your hands for limited. I'd like to see blood tokens again. Those,
don't worry.
Yeah. I'd call them something else, probably, but like they do a really, like those were very effective at giving you some outlet, to augment your draw in the mid to late game, which is really important. We've seen cycling and land cycling and stuff like that do a good job with that too. But I really did like blood tokens as something that I'd like to see back. And then, there's just some space like landfall, I think fits in this as well. I would love to see landfall just kind of be evergreen. We see it pretty often, so it's close to that. But anything that means that if I draw land late in the game, it doesn't feel like just a complete throw it out the window is something that I'm interested in. And then, and so even though, they've done that before and they have continued to, so it doesn't quite fit the question. Those are the things that I look for the most. If a thing doesn't work, I'm okay with it just not working and just move on. But I would like to see more of those type of effects more consistently, just because they're so minimal to throw in. I think I don't think that they carry a big load, for new players or design wise, yet they can make a big difference in the way game plays out. Luis, I wanted to talk to you about one play real quick before we get into the thing. This is more theoretical. I'm going to describe the play.
Does it involve boomerang basics?
I'll talk to you about that one off air. I've already done that. No, this one involves, and this is not specific to these cards. I want to hear your take on this, Luis, from a theoretical or like how do you approach a problem perspective rather than this specific exact board state. But I am going to use this one as the example because it's what brought up the chat. This was actually, I know you were watching because you commented on it. This is between Kenta Harane and Derek Davis at the World Championship. And the basic conceit here is that Derek Davis finds himself ahead on board. He has 4-5 flyer, a 2-3, and a 1-1, and a 1-3, against a just resolved The Legend of Yang Chen from Kenta Harane.
I knew, once you started saying that, I knew exactly what you were going to ask about. Because I did make a comment in chat and someone asked me about it. So
you did.
This is a good follow-up.
Yeah. And I was like, this is interesting because it is not obvious, but I know for you were like pretty confident, like, no, this is how it goes. But, chat was surprised. Paul and I were like, whoa, here we go, put on your seatbelts. And basically the situation is, as Derek Davis played his turn, he played the 4-5. It's the River Spirit, the Benevolent River Spirit. So he gets his 4-5 flyer and he also scryed 2. And as it turns out, he put both cards on top and pretty quickly too. So he's like happy with what he's got on top of his library. He's ahead on board and the turn gets passed to Kenta Harane, who again has lands, Legend of Yang Chen on 1, and it's going to 2 on his turn. So the question that you face is you draw your card for the turn and now the second chapter goes on. And for those that don't remember, if you choose to take part, it's a May ability, you can have both players draw 3 cards at that point. If it's relevant to the decision, Derek Davis is completely tapped out. So Kenta thinks about it for a few seconds, really kind of goes over his options and has to decide, do I draw 3 here or not? In the end, he said, yes, I'm going to draw 3. So that means that Derek gets the 2 scryed to the top cards plus a random card. And then Kenta gets 3 cards in his hand right now that he can try to do something with. And Chad, and to an extent, Paul and I were surprised at it. But Luis, you seemed like, no, this is pretty clearly the right play. How do you approach that decision point of, do I, have us both draw 3 or not?
Well, I think I even said that before he chose to draw 3. Because in this particular case, so it's actually really interesting. I like this ability on the card. I think it's pretty neat. So all things being equal, drawing 3 when you have a Legend of Yang Chen that's about to flip is kind of slightly negative because you're about to have a 4-5 board dominating flyer and giving them more draws for an answer you don't really want to do. And presumably the 4-5 is enough to, if not put you ahead, at least put you in a pretty decent position. But there's a lot of factors that go into it. One, the card is better when you've drawn more cards because it says when you play your second spell, airbend. So it's like if you draw 3, you're very likely to be able to trigger it right away. And in this particular case, I think a relevant part is that Derek Davis scryed 2 to the top. His next 2 draws are good cards. So both players were pretty low on cards. And given that, and given that Derek was about to have 2 good cards over the next 2 turns, well, and I think at this point, both players also just they didn't have much gas in the tank. I think they might have had 0 to 2 cards each, maybe 1 card each, something like that. 2 cards versus 0 cards is one way we look at it. With Derek's having 2 good cards, and sorry, what was his opponent's name?
Kenta Harana.
Kenta Harana. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Kenta is about to have
so
drawn a card or 2.
So it's 1 card in hand for Davis, and then Kenta had 1 card and drew 1 for the turn. So you're right. Yeah.
So it's over the next 2 turns, Kenta's going to have up to 4 cards total. Quality unknown on 2 of them to him. He knows 2 of them, though we of course didn't really know at the time. Derek's going to have 3 cards, 2 of which are good because he scryed them to the top. Well, adding 3 to each actually could make it a lot closer because imagine that it ends up being 3 good cards to 1 good card. Well, if you add 3 to each, now it might not be, now it might be Kenta draws 2 good cards out of those 3. Now it's 3 good cards and Derek draws 1 or 0.
So it's
now
the devil
close to even.
Exactly that things aren't going to go well if you have 2 mediocre cards and he's just scryed 2 to the top.
If Kenta's looking at his hand, it's a land and a mediocre card, and he knows Derek's drawing a good card next turn and the turn after that. It's well, I would rather take the gamble of 3 more cards each because then I might catch up. Other situations where you'd want to use the abilities if they have many more cards than you, or you both have a decent amount of cards, but more specifically, they have 6 cards and you have 2. It's way better. 9 cards to 5 cards. It's a way better ratio than 6 to 2.
Right.
Because at 9 cards, you're not casting half of those cards most of the time. At least not in the immediate future. And the fewer cards you have, the draw 3, you're going to get to cast all those cards right away. So I would say overall, to expand it past this example, you're choosing no on the draw 3 way more often than you're choosing yes. That's been my experience, at least, because I've gotten to play with the card a few times and my opponents rarely pick yes. But the bigger the mismatch is, the further behind you are, the more likely you are to want to draw 3 cards. It just naturally happens that when this ability is happening, you're getting a really good 4 or 5 flyer the next turn. So usually that puts you in the driver's seat and you don't want to change the things too much. It's just really on any sort of competition, the further behind you are, the more you want to shake things up, the more variance you want to add. When a football team's down 21 points, they're more likely to go for it on 4th down. They have to. That's just that they can even prove with math. They have enough data at this point to know that even 4th and 5, which you would never go for in the vast majority of cases, becomes positive EV the more you're down or the closer it is to the end of the game or both. Right. And likewise in Magic, it's the more you're winning, the more conservatively you should play. The more you're losing, the less conservatively you should play. And in this case, having both players draw 3 is a kind of aggressive move because it introduces a lot of unknowns. But the more you're losing, the better that becomes.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown, and I'll put a link to that match in the show notes for people that want to watch. And it is with the deck that Derek drafted that we were talking about as well. So good. Okay, let's get into the drafts, Luis. No time to spare. We will start with a premier draft, and I want you to know that I resigned from a very competitive blue-black deck just to clear the way here. So. My dedication to the listeners
I don't know if
unfaltered.
Anyone resigns more in progress drafts than I do, literally. So it's
I never do.
You're not impressing me.
I never do.
Dude, I drop it 0-1 so often, or 0-0 because I just want to draft again, or I drafted the deck 3 days ago, or it's out of control. Actually, I do it too much. I just
Luis needs an intervention on dropping early. I've been drafting pretty similarly for the past chunk of time. Lots of blue, lots of white. Okay, our pack is here, and our cards, notable cards are Hakoda, Selfless Commander, Iroh's Demonstration. What else do we have here? Avatar Enthusiast, Rocky Rebuke. Yeah. So basically, it's do you want a Hakoda? That's the 3/5 for 4 with vigilance, and you can sack him, and you can cast allies from the top of your library, or do you want Iroh's demonstration, which is the 1 in red deals 4 or 1 to each of their things? I mean, I would take Hakoda here, but what do you think?
Yeah, you are, I believe, supposed to take Hakoda. Well, I don't know. They're pretty close. I would take Iroh's demonstration. I like drafting the lessons deck a lot. I prefer to start there than the allies deck. I actually think you could just take either. Like, I would just take the Iroh's. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, white is a slightly better color to be in than red. I do believe
and
that.
Allies is great.
Allies is great. Lessons are good too, though. So
lessons really. All right, we'll go with we'll put Luis in the driver's seat for this one. So we'll take Iroh's demonstration. That means that he gets final say on any of these. Next up, we've got Diligent Zookeeper at the rare. That's the 4/4 for 4 that pumps your not human creatures based on how many different types they are. Let's see. Forecasting Fortune Teller. Cycle of Renewal. I mean, there's not much here. Fancy Footwork. There's an Agnakella. I didn't even mention that.
Yeah, that's the blue land that lets you loot. I would look at this pack and want to take Forecasting Fortune Teller, I think either way, like regardless of what our first pick was. Because it's always, I always do this when I do cubes as well, as like, what would I have taken differently? Like if I first picked the white card versus the red card. In both cases, I think you're supposed to take Forecasting Fortune Teller. It is just a really good card. And it plays perfectly in all the decks that end up drafting it.
We'll take it then. So we've got Iroh's demonstration and Forecasting Fortune Teller. What a beautiful start here, Luis.
These packs have been pretty weak.
Yes, they have.
I mean, we've gotten a good card out of each pack, so it's not like this. Like these are actually like it's a very solid start. But like the person who's going to see this pack in 2 or 3 picks is not going to be happy. Well, we're kind of not happy now.
Yeah, giddy up U-turn. So we've opened Aang the Last Airbender, pick 3. There's also My Jaded Edge. There's a Swamp Snare Trap, a Yuyan Archers. There's no good blue cards. The only blue card is Giant Koi. Can we just Aang it up here or what?
Yeah, I would certainly just take Aang. I mean, there's just, obviously it'd be better to start with 3 white cards at this point than a Jeskai set. But we'll take Aang and we'll ditch, one of these 3 colors, probably by the middle of this pack, I would say is likely the case.
Whoa, why don't we just play all 3?
I don't think you're supposed to do that most of the time, but you can. I mean, I would say the 3 color combinations that I play most often, Teamer, of course, because the whole lessons thing gives you reasons. Though as time goes on, I've played green less. Like I've been pretty unimpressed with what the green adds. Iroh Grand Lotus is one of the biggest reasons, but in this particular case, I would the other colors the other 3 color combo I actually find myself playing as Esper, just because you can draft like a blue-black deck splashing some good white cards some of the times. But
we could get into Esper if you want. There's Zuko's Conviction, Hama the Bloodbender, Jet Freedom Fighter. There's a nice fork in the road for you, right? You want to take Jet or Hama?
Hama versus Jet. Yeah, that's really funny.
And there's also Avatar Enthusiast, and as well as a Compassionate Healer.
I think I would just take Jet at this point. I mean, and lean towards being like red white, something like that. I like Jet a pretty good amount. Like it's a strong card, and
yeah, it is.
I mean, I would not take Hama. Like I think Hama's good in the right deck, but I would not take it given our start of 3 different colors of cards. And I like Zuko's Conviction. I like Aang's Journey, but not enough to take over Jet here.
Next up, we've got Enter the Avatar State, Avatar Enthusiasts. In black, there's a Sold Out. In red, there's Fire Nation Cadets and Cunning Maneuver. I like either of these white cards, though. There's also a Waterbending Lesson. I didn't see that. Yeah,
man, this is tough. I think the card I think is best here is the Waterbending Lesson, but it's not by a lot.
Follow your gut, Luis. You have free reign here. Don't.
So right now we have a good red-white card, a really good white card, a really good red card, and a pretty good blue card. Mm-hmm. The problem is the 2 mono white cards here aren't that good. I think actually maybe I would just take the North Pole Gates and just kind of let's see where this takes us. So blue-white land is pretty decent.
Next up, we've got Avatar's Wrath, Fancy Footwork. There's a Tiger Dillo. There's a Platypus Bear. This is a very weak pack, Deserter's Disciple.
Yeah, I guess I would take Avatar's Wrath. I don't know what we're doing with this exactly, but it's pretty good with like Jet.
It is. And if that is the color pair that wants that card, right? red, white, get stuff out of the way, make a big tempo swing. We learned that early in the format.
I just don't like fancy footwork that much. Deserted Disciples, whatever. Platypus Bear, it's just like not the direction we're going.
What is fancy footwork referencing? I don't remember that part of the show. But
probably just like a fight in general.
A fight.
Okay, well, this kind of worked out. So this pack, mostly blanks, but there is a Rowdy Snowballers in blue and a Fire Nation Raider in red. No white cards in the pack at all. I think I just take the Rowdy Snowballers. I don't really value the Raider all that highly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really value either of those too highly.
No, the Snowballers isn't great, but we do have the start to just like a Blue-White Allies deck here at this point.
That is true, and we could even consider splashing for Iroh's demonstration. I'm gonna bully you into 3 cards here.
Big Just Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
3 colors.
I would typically not be doing that, but...
All right, pack 1, pick 8. Not much here either. There's Zuko's Conviction, Sandbender's Storm. There's a Rough Rhino Cavalry. That's a rough pack right there, my friend.
There's no card here I want to put in my deck except Zuko's Conviction, which I'm not obviously like that happy about playing now. I think I would just take the white-black land. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Misty Palms Oasis, okay.
Misty Palms Oasis, because like every now and then, like you do end up getting a card you want to splash. The black's best cards tend to be double black, so not super likely, but it's better than nothing.
We didn't have a great chance of wheeling something here, and we didn't. We got Cat Owl or How to Start a Riot as kind of the cards in our colors. The other 3 cards are black, and they're very mediocre.
I guess I would take Cat Owl just to like somewhat cut blue-white. I would put that right in the sideboard, though. I really try not to play that card.
Yeah, it needs to be an ally. And we're not going to get much else out of this pack. Pack 1, pick 10. There's a Cunning Maneuver. It's a magic card.
I would take Cycle of Renewal here. There is like a very small chance you open a great green card and maybe you want to play green. Not that Cycle of Renewal is even that good of a card, unfortunately.
Let's just pivot to 5 colors. We've got 2 duels and a Cycle of Renewal.
Well, taking the Iroh's Demonstration didn't work great, I will say. Ooh, there's a Yip Yip with 4 cards in the pack. All right, we'll take the Yip Yip. But it's also not like we passed on a ton of allies either. So
no, it's strange because
we took the first really good white card we saw.
We did, and white seems to be open, but not. We got a 3rd pick Aang and a 11th pick Yip Yip, but then it's also kind of not there. Wow, pack 1, pick 12 has Zuko's Conviction, Cycle of Renewal again, and Platypus Bear.
I would just take the Cycle of Renewal, I think.
Yeah, we've got 2 of those now, so if we do want to do something crazy, we can. And then I guess I'll just take Geyser Leaper second.
Yeah, I try not to play that one either. Well, this is a kind of a rough pack one.
This is a very tough
I don't think there was a real way out of it. If we'd taken Hakoda, I think our cards would basically be the same if we had taken Hakoda.
We would just
at this
beat down
point.
Hakoda. Yeah, it's basically the same. All right. Well, pack 2, pick 1. Boiling Rock Rioter is our rare. We did get a Benevolent River Spirit, but there's also another Jet in this pack, as well as Glider Kids.
I think I would just take Jet.
Yeah, I would too.
I believe white is the most likely color to play. It's got you have the most white cards and the best white cards. Like it is the most numerous and highest quality of your color. So just taking a second Jet doesn't seem super risky. Wouldn't take a double blue card in Benevolent River Spirit. I would not take a black card in the Boiling Rock Rioter. So yeah, I guess that leaves Jet or Glider Kids, and I think Jet's going to be a better thing to spec on. Yeah,
especially since we are assuming that we're going to be white with either of these picks, and if that's the case, then we would want Jet Freedom Fighter.
Yeah, maybe we have one way to airbend with Avatar's Wrath and another one with Aang the Last Airbenders. Yeah, those are 2 decent ways to use Jet if we need to.
Ooh. Oh, geez. Okay. Oh, geez. All right. We got Fancy Footwork, but we got Invasion Submersible, one of my favorites, as well as Airbending Lesson. Of note, there's also Lightning Strike, Wandering Musicians, and there's an Octopus form in this.
I'm glad he took the North Pole Gates because I think we should take the Submersible. It's just by far the best card here.
So good.
And
so, do you think you want to splash for it, or?
I think what I likely will do is want to play blue-white and just play and not play the Iroh's Demonstration. If we get enough some lands that help enable that, I could see doing it. But as things currently stand, there's an airship engine room that could wheel. I would just take the Submersible because we're close enough on wanting blue versus red. Jet does push us towards red because it makes it easier to cast, but the Submersible is so much better than the rest card here.
It really is. It has been such a house. Yeah, I did not anticipate it being that powerful. All right, we get another shot at Hakoda here, Luis. There's Pack 2, Pick 3 has Hakoda. It also has Earth Kingdom Jailer Glider Kids.
Well, we caught white reasonably well given this pack. I would still take Earth Kingdom Jailer. I think
that's what I was going to say. Is it just better than Hakoda?
Yeah, it's just an excellent card.
Man,
and they're both pretty good, but
so we passed Hakoda and then just got past a Hakoda. So
I mean, Hakoda's not like insane or anything.
No,
Hakoda
but it's a little weird, right?
Like it's a good card, but it's like if you look at the stats on par with like the Fortune Teller and Watery Grasp, like it's not a bomb.
Don't compare it to the blue cards. That's just unfair to Hakoda. Sacrifice Hakoda creatures to grow.
Slightly worse than Momo Friendly Flyer or Momo Playful Pet.
Oh. All right. Next pack has, there's a Kyoshi Warriors, a Fancy Footwork. Yeah, there is an Earth Kingdom Soldier, which hasn't been very good. Speaking of Watery Grasp, there is one here.
I like Watery Grasp a lot too, but I think you're supposed to take Kyoshi Warriors just because of the 2 copies of Jet. It's just really nice to make sure you have enough creatures in play for that card to be good.
Yeah, so you play turn 4 Kyoshi, turn 5 Jet, and you get to kill something.
That's the plan,
every time. All right, we'll take Kyoshi Warriors here, leave the Watery Grasp for somebody else. Should I move?
I do love a Watery Grasp for sure.
Yeah. Should I move?
Yeah, I don't think we're playing Iroh's Demonstration at this point, or at least it's not that likely. Well, now there's a Watery Grasp and an Airbending Lesson. It's going to be one of those two, and a Pretending Poxbearers. But I think I would take the.
Shouldn't we take the Airbending Lesson? Like, don't we need to be skewed pretty heavily towards white to make these Jets castable? That's the only thing I'm worried about. I would prefer.
I mean, right now you have 2 good blue cards and 2 mediocre blue cards, and I'm fine playing Submersible and Forecasting Fortune Teller, maybe like 2 to 3 other blue cards, and then majority white. So yeah, just take Airbending Lesson. You do have 3 different creatures that are very good to airbend, and a couple more that are pretty good. So
we've got some decent airbending stuff, actually.
Yeah. Aang the Last Airbender, Kyoshi Warriors, the 2 Jets, the Earth Kingdom Jailer.
What is this? Oh, Rending Volley. Nice. There's a good
I
card
do like
here,
Earth
though.
Kingdom Protectors. It's a 1-mana 1/1. There's also another Yip Yip, but 1-mana 1/1 Vigilance. You can sack it to make one of your allies indestructible. Really nice with Earth Kingdom Jailer, just a way to protect a card you really don't want to die.
And again, good at getting a board state under before you hit Jet. Wow. Yeah, that's a nice pickup.
Yeah, I like it.
That's pack 2, pick 6, by the way.
Yeah, white has seemed pretty open in both directions. And now there's another Kyoshi Warriors here, as well as a first-time flyer, but we're clearly not interested in that. So
right now we have Earth Kingdom Protectors, Yip Yip, Forecasting Fortune Teller, Airbending Lesson, Earth Kingdom Jailer, Invasion Submersible, maybe Rowdy Snowballers, Aang the Last Airbender, Avatar's Wrath, 2 Kyoshi Warriors, technically a Geyser Leaper that probably won't make it, 2 Jet, and then we do have a North Pole Gates as well to kind of smooth things out. I'm going to kill the Leaper, and the Snowballers we'll keep in for now. They'll probably go. Pack 2, pick 8. Well, a whole lot of red and black cards and a Cat Owl. So
take the Cat Owl for signaling purposes, even though you're not going to play it.
Right. Fire Nation Engineer is a card, I guess. Let's see. Pack 2, pick 9. Did we wheel anything good? No, we didn't.
Not really. I mean, there's a Zuko's Exile or a Platypus Bear, and I would take the Exile, but I'd move it right to the board. You have 2 copies of Jet at 5. I really don't think you're going to want to play that.
Yeah, not interested. All right, we did wheel Wandering Musicians and also Fancy Footwork. Musicians is fine, right? We've got 2 Kyoshi Warriors.
I guess I would probably take. I'd take either one. Yeah, the Musician seems fine.
Yeah, neither super great. And then we got a Fire Nation Raider, pack 2, pick 11. Or I guess actually a Platypus Bear.
Yeah, Platypus Bear is fine. You're not going to play it either, though.
No, we just have curve issues here that we need to attend to.
We've seen there's like a Compassionate Healer like in our first pack.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any Jung's Deserters. We do have the Forecasting Fortune Teller, and thank God, another Jet.
So pack 3, pick 1 has Toph, Hard-Headed Teacher. That's the red-green rare. Wolf, Bat, Jet, Freedom Fighter again, Meteor Sword, Hermetic, Herbalist. And then at common, interestingly, there is a Compassionate Healer. There's also a Forecasting Fortune Teller, a Waterbending Lesson, and a Pretending pox bearers.
So
do
here's
we
the question.
Take the third jet or do we take the healer here?
Yeah, the question is, do we want healer or forecasting fortune teller?
I would go healer, but
I do like the fortune teller, but yeah, I would just take the healer. You really do want to maximize the amount of white cards. You should take the 2-drop over to third jet, I believe.
And then maybe we can get pretending pox bearers back. That card does go kind of totally
happen.
And we would definitely play it at this point, at least.
I think so. Yeah.
All right, compassionate healer in. We opened May, Scornful Striker, Diligent Zookeeper are our rares. The Scornful Striker is the one that hits any player for casting a non-creature spell for 2. White Lotus Reinforcements, Curious Farm Animals, another Snowballers, Cat Owl. Dang, these packs have been stinky. Do we take the Teo Spirited Glider here?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a good card.
I don't think you need another Rowdy Snowballers, and Teo is an ally and works with currently nothing but Aang, the Last Airbender. That's fine, though. You might be able to pick something up. I don't think you want to splash White Lotus Reinforcements, and I don't think you want to take Rowdy Snowballer. So I guess that leaves Teo. Not the dream. Oh, ooh. This is the dream, though. Another Invasion Submersible. What a busted card. Slamming that over an Avatar Enthusiast and a Forecasting Fortune Teller, and really nothing else of note, though we've seen Fancy Footwork like 5 times this draft.
We have. There's another one in this pack. But yeah, so this is our second Invasion Submersible. We're, by the way, at 17 cards with this one and a land. So, I don't know. We may need to dip into the murky waters of the Cat Owl. We also could get lucky and wheel a couple of these 2-drops.
Yeah. I think you're probably not going to have to play Cat Owl, but we'll see. I like the submersible.
All right. Next up, we've got Iroh Tea-Master, Serpent of the Past. There's an Otter Penguin, Abandoned Attachments. Man, White is just getting hammered. It's weird that Aang came. The Aang and the Yip Yip, but
so yeah, about that Cat Owl.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, are we taking Otter Penguin? No, right?
You have currently one way to draw an extra card. You really don't need an Earth Kingdom Soldier all that much either. It's 5 mana.
Maybe we take Abandoned Attachments to ditch the uncastable jet that we have at some point.
Sure.
All right, next up we've got, there's a white creature in the pack. It's Water Tribe Captain, but there's also Boomerang Basics.
Boomerang Basics is pretty great.
What's our creature count right now? It's at 12.
Yeah. I think I would take the Boomerang Basics. You have 2 Submersibles, a Fortune Teller, 2 Jets. There's some good stuff to do with that.
It's just so good.
Yeah. Honestly, if your next 3 picks are decent creatures, like this is going to be a fine deck.
Yeah, Boomerang Basics extra good too because you can cast it and then just change your mind and choose a different target anytime you want.
It's true.
Oh my God. Well, Luis, we have opened Sokka Tenacious Tactician, or been past it, I should say. This
how many non-creatures do you have? 5? Oh, 7 because the vehicle, the artifacts. The one thing that's nice, take the Sokka. There's a waterbending lesson too, but I would actually just take Sokka. And a Forecasting Fortune Teller 7th pick. That is fantastic.
Wow, that's lucky.
What I like about Sokka is that it doesn't really make Jet harder to splash. Because if you play some mountains for Sokka, those can cast Jet. So the most difficult card to cast in your deck, well, besides Sokka, doesn't really get hurt so much by the Sokka splash.
All right, pack 3, pick 8. This is our last pack that is fresh, and we got an Avatar Enthusiast.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not amazing or anything, but I would take it just to up your creature count. You have a couple Kyoshi Warriors, all that. Sokka and that can be kind of nice.
Yeah,
I think I would try to play the Sokka here.
Sokka's definitely a power bump that we need. And it doesn't hurt the jet.
Makes taking that Abandoned Attachment's a little nicer. And then this pack has a Meteor Sword that wield and no other blue, white, or... Well, I guess there are red cards, but there's nothing good. There's a Boomy Bash and a Mongoose Lizard. Yeah, take the Meteor Sword. With double Forecasting Fortune Teller, an Airbending Lesson, Boomerang Basics, not inconceivable that you could get 7 mana. Teo Spirited Glider can also help. Cat Owl's nice with Teo.
It is.
We did get to 23 playables though without dipping into the cat owl reserves.
If we want to play the Meteor Sword, yes. And then, okay, we got one more Avatar Enthusiast here.
Sure,
Pack 3, pick 11.
there.
We'll take it. So now we can cut
Honestly, picking up that 7th pick, Forecasting Fortune Teller, goes a long way here. Like, I feel like that actually gets us to, we have 3 2-drops plus Earth Kingdom Protectors at 1, so 4 creatures we could cast in the first couple turns. Oh, and Water Tribe Captain came back. Yeah, all right. This is a totally fine deck.
What a weird one, huh? We got
I don't really know what was going on in the draft exactly.
Yeah, I can't figure out what was happening. Not that Water Tribe Captain's amazing, but just with the way that the colors were flowing, I would not expect that to be there with 2 cards left. Okay, so we need to make 2 cuts right now we're at 42, and we are currently splashing for Sokka. And we've got Earth Kingdom Protectors, Yip Yip, Boomerang Basics at 1. 2 drops, we've got Compassionate Healer and 2 Forecasting Fortune Teller. So they're nice, but that's all of them. We also have Abandoned Attachments at the 2 slot. 3s, we have Airbending Lesson, 2 Avatar Enthusiasts, an Earth Kingdom Jailer, a Water Tribe Captain, 2 Invasion Submersible, and then maybe one of the candidates to cut here with the Rowdy Snowballers. Mm-hmm. Then we've got at the 4, Aang the Last Airbender, 2 Kyoshi Warriors. We do have that Avatar's Wrath in here still. Teo Spirited Glider, Wandering Musicians, and currently Sokka Tenacious Technician. By the way, this is the red, blue, white Sokka and one that has Menace and Prowess and gives your other allies Menace and Prowess, and where you cast non-creatures, you get a 1/1 ally. And then we've got 2 Jet Freedom Fighter at the 5, and then we currently have Meteor Sword at 7. And then we'll figure out the mana.
We need to cut 2 here.
Yeah. I think the candidates would be like Avatar's Wrath, Rowdy Snowballers, Meteor Sword, and then if we decide to be responsible, cut the Sokka, because we don't have any fixing.
Yeah, I think that Wandering Musicians and Teo are also
yes,
options here.
Agreed. Yeah, mediocre 4 drops. When we really want to cast the Kyoshi Warriors into the Jet, like that's kind of the nice combo.
I need 2 seconds. This kid's school just called. I need to.
Yeah, no problem. I'll continue to build. I'm going to come up with a build with our listeners, and then we'll see if Luis agrees with it or not. So again, looking at the curve, we've got a 1, like for creatures, we've got 1/1 drop, 3 2 drops, and then we're like pretty decent from there. We've got, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 different 3 drops to play, 3 different 4s, and then the 2 jets. I think I would kill Meteor Sword. Like, we have no way to like actually generate mana. And at any opener that we have with Meteor Sword just looks so bad. If you're playing green and you have Meteor Sword in your opener, but you also have some ramp, you're like, well, we'll get there, and I'll be able to use it. But in this deck, it's like I'm gonna have Jet and like a Kyoshi Warriors, and then I'm gonna have stupid Meteor Sword. I just wish it was like anything else. So I'm gonna kill that. I think we should probably go for Sokka. I really like Sokka, and our ally count is high. We've got actually we're 17 for 17. That's funny. We do have 2 Invasion Submersible, which aren't an ally, but those are kind of extra creatures. So yes, it does give our whole team Menace and Prowess, and then everything else triggers Sokka as well. So that's like pretty good. And we have like Abandoned Attachments. We're going to see a decent amount of cards with the Fortune Teller. So it's like not completely crazy, but like we're going to have to just like run 3 mountains. What does our blue look like cost-wise? It's actually pretty good. So one of the things that I'll look for when I'm deciding if I want to splash a card like Sokka and if I'm going to have to run 3 mountains is how does it affect the other cards in my deck? So for example, Jet Freedom Fighter, right? We really want to be able to cast that. Well, mountains don't affect that at all. So that's good. And then, you look around and say, well, if those 3 mountains, they may be encroaching on our other colors, right? The ones that we have doubles of, that type of thing. And if we look at our deck, like it's not hitting blue. Like we have 5 actual blue cards plus Abandoned Attachments that the mountain doesn't hurt either. So, and they're all single pip. and they all can more or less be cast at any time. Like they're not like demanding on the curve. I think we can actually get away with Sokka. And then, so that leaves Rowdy Snowballers, Avatar's Wrath, Teo's Spirited Glider, and Wandering Musicians. Currently, I would just kill Avatar's Wrath. It's double white, so it can be a little bit of a pain to cast. And it's been so ridiculously situational for me where like sometimes you cast it and it can win you the game's probably strong, but give you a big advantage, but it just sucks when you're behind. Our deck does have some very cool stuff. Like if you just said, you know, on a board state of ours, hey, airbend 3 of your 4 creatures or whatever, and we've got Forecasting Fortune Teller, Kyoshi Warriors, Jet Freedom Fighter, you know, Invasion Submersible. Like we would be interested in getting those away, but I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the card in general. So those would be my changes, I think. So that would leave us mana-wise with 7 plains plus North Pole gates. That's the blue-white duel. So 8 white sources, 7 total blue sources with 6 islands in the gates, and then just stone cold 3 mountains for Sokka. That is a bit of a tough pill to swallow, but I don't know. Sokka is really, really good and effectively perfectly positioned in this deck. It's kind of funny. We have 17 allies from 17 creatures, and then everything else, of course, would trigger it, which is 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. But you really don't need much when you get Sokka going.
All right. Well, I unfortunately I've got to run in this moment, but
oh, okay. I hope everything's okay. I'll do
the kids threw up, and I got to go pick them up. So
okay,
you know,
I'll do the classic, Marshall draft video from back in the day to finish us off here.
we got it.
Luis,
right.
I cut the Meteor Sword and the Avatar's Wrath and went full on. So there you go. Just so you know, on your way to school, you can, rest easy. All right. So we'll say goodbye to Luis. Yeah, that happens sometimes. I mean, the guy has 4 kids, it's going to pop up every once in a while. All right. So this is fun. I used to do draft videos back in the day, and I really liked doing it. So this should be fun to kind of fire one off old school style here. So we're going to do a traditional draft. I don't do very much traditional these days. I really do prefer it as an experience, but like the ranked thing, gives you something to kind of work towards that traditional doesn't. And like, I don't know, it just doesn't really seem to be where we're at these days, but I do think it's a better experience. Have you ever had that feeling where like you lose to somebody, but you lose a game, but you're like, I know my deck's better, or maybe they surprised you with a card and you're like, oh, I could play around that or what, but it just feels like no justice when when you're playing best of one, because then they just run away with their victory and and you don't get to see them again. I've had that experience a lot where I really like the best 2 out of 3 format because it's not too long. It's not like crazy or anything like that. I wish the best of one was available, but not the primary. That would kind of that would be kind of the best spot, but best of one's pretty good. And, they did change their designs a few years back to kind of accommodate best of one. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed it, but they've basically moved stuff to like, they'll tack on sideboard-ish vibes onto cards and then give it cycling, right? Something like that, where it's like, well, this really is a very narrow card, but you have this ejector seat that you can say like, okay, I'm not going to find a flyer from my opponent's deck, so I'm just going to cycle this card away. The thing that they didn't tell us is that, with the speed of formats in the modern era, that, even just having to cycle a card like that, it still doesn't make it worth it. I mean, it's still rare. It's interesting when you think about it. It's still rare to actually see those cards see play. They still don't see play in best of one. It takes a kind of a unique one to actually make that work. They see like fringe play at best, and they're almost never like good performers or anything close to it. All right, looks like we're 1 seat away. All right, table ready. Let's see if all the players agree with that. And then, I've been drafting a lot of blue-based decks because it is the deepest and best color. So that's kind of what I look for early, and then can kind of build around it. All right, pack one, pick one. The last Agnikai is our rare. There's a glider staff and a Katara bending prodigy. That's the uncommon Katara that draws cards. There's also watery grasp. And then, this is interesting. Going back to our other draft, there's Zhang Zhang's deserters. Like, we didn't see, like, those were just not around. Those are the types of like deep into white, but still playable cards that you kind of hope to get. For me, it's between glider staff and Katara, and I'm going to go with Katara. I think Katara is a solid card, not amazing. I do like glider staff quite a bit as well. Like, I don't know. I could do either one. What's the 17 lands on these? Let's see if I can. I've only got 20 seconds. Well, I probably can't, but I'll try anyway. All right. Color white, rarity, uncommon. What is that card called? It is Glider Staff. Oh, that is actually pretty good. Whatever. I'm going to take Katara. I didn't get a chance to check Katara. It was 58 for Glider Staff, but let's see what Katara is. Don't be terrible, Katara. Oh, she's worse. Yeah. Okay. Well, Glider Staff was better. She's 56 right now. Anyway, pack one, pick two. So there's Airbender's Reversal, Epic Downfall, which I like quite a bit. Are there any good blue cards? No. Flexible Waterbender. If I had taken the white card, there's Water Tribe Captain, Airbender's Reversal, like I mentioned. No, I'm just going to take Epic Downfall. I think it's just the best card in the pack. So we've got Epic Downfall, Katara Bending Prodigy. And then next up, there is Ember Island Production. That's like the clone-ish card. Glider Kids, which I like quite a bit. There's a Shared Roots if you want to go nuts. Rest of the pack is weak. Rocky Rebuke and Abandoned Attachments are the other cards. I'll just take Ember Island Production here. The card's been okay. I wouldn't say I'm thrilled with it, but it's decent. All right, next up, Firelord Zuko. No. Earth Kingdom General, no. Airbending Lesson and Avatar Enthusiast. There's also First Time Flyer and Corrupt Court Official as 2-drops for this color pair. I really like Airbending Lesson, and I also like Corrupt Court Official here. So I kind of have a choice. If I take the Corrupt Court Official, then I'm sort of solidifying myself into blue-black. If I take the Airbending Lesson, I'm opening myself up to blue-white. And if I take First Time Flyer, I'm basically solidifying myself in blue, but not deciding on the others. But I think it's also the weakest. You know what? I'll go with Airbending Lesson here. Let's just make sure that white isn't completely cut off. Walls of Bossing Say, no. There's Avatar Enthusiast, Idelquentia, and another Corrupt Court Official. So if I would have taken the official, I probably would just take the official here, or maybe the Idelquentia, and just continue to solidify. But in this case, I'm going to take Idelquentia. I think it's the best of these three. It's also the least committal. All right, next up is Ozai's Cruelty. That's the discard 2, and it does 2 damage to them. That's interesting. Rowdy Snowballers in blue, as well as Abandoned Attachments. So I think for me, it's between Abandoned Attachments and Ozai's Cruelty. And I'll just take Abandoned Attachments. I'll just continue to try to solidify in blue, and then we'll pick what our secondary color is. Black does seem open-ish, but that's also fairly common for black because, well, it's not like the best color. So it being open is kind of a function of it being not great. All right, next up we've got, interesting, another Corrupt Court Official, another Ember Island Production, and a Rowdy Snowballers, as well as a Fire Navy Trebuchet. I wonder if I was just supposed to be scooping up these Corrupt Court Officials. They really do kind of add up. You do need to put something around them to make it work. I could take another Ember Island Production. I guess I will. If these Corrupt Court Officials are going to be coming around so late, they're actually a pretty sweet target for it. You get like a 4/4 that does the thing. All right, Deadly Precision. This is exactly the type of card that I was hoping to get. This is pack 1, pick 8. If I can pick up even one of those Corrupt Court Officials on the wheel, that would be really great. The other consideration in this pack is Fire Nation Warship. That's the vehicle that has reach and crew 2, and when it dies, you get a clue. I've liked it. It's a little bit more of a defensive vehicle, because it's kind of expensive to get up and running, but it's easy to leave a blocker back that couldn't have attacked anyway. And then you can crew it up. And since it has reach, it blocks really well. And nobody ever wants to trade for it. So that's pretty good. All right, Pack 1, Pick 9. There is a Swamp Snare Trap as well as a Platypus Bear and a Foggy Swamp Hunters. But yeah, I'll take the trap. All right, so it looks like we are, the airbending lesson is going to be in the sideboard here most likely. But we've got Foggy Swamp Hunters, Pack 1, Pick 10. I guess I could take the Water Tribe Captain and try to keep that dream alive. But I like the trap, the Epic Downfall, and the Precision better than Airbending Lesson plus Water Tribe Captain. So I'm just going to take the Foggy Swamp Hunters and continue to cut black. All right, Azula Always Lies is next. Pack 1, Pick 11. And then, okay, the First Time Flyer actually came back. There's also Kyoshi Battle Fan, which you can run in this color pair. It's good with water bending, but I like First Time Flyer. I don't think I have any lessons yet. Oh, never mind. I have 3. Oh, I just picked up Azula. And then I have Idoquentia. What's my other one? Epic Downfall's not a lesson, right? No. Okay, and I got a Pillar Launch and a Plains. Oh, it's Abandoned Attachments for the other one. All right, what's next? Ooh, we got some stuff here. Pack 2, Pick 1, Agent of Treachery. That's the 7-drop that steals a permanent. And then there's also a Phoenix Fleet airship, which is very, very good if you can enable it by sacrificing stuff. Ideally repeatedly, but at least once. Right now I have 1 copy of Deadly Precision and can get back any of the Corrupt Court Officials. I have yet to play with Agent of Treachery. I think I will take it here. That is a devastating play. And man, I can Ember Island production about a bunch of them too. All right, Pack 2, Pick 2, Cat Gator, which I love. There's also Sold Out, Callous Inspector, Aang's Journey. So I think for me, it's between Sold Out and Cat Gator. Right now, though, I have double blue, double blue, double blue. I have 3 cards that cost double blue, but they're all 5 mana or more. Yeah, I'm just going to take the Sold Out. I really like Cat Gator. Copying it's cool, but I am pretty heavy blue right now, and I don't really see a route for me to have 11 swamps, and even 9 is okay. I mean, even if it only does 3 or 4, it's actually decent. But the problem is I don't have any Sold Outs right now, and I think that's a checkbox I'd like to have. All right, Pack 2, Pick 3. Wolf Bat, Crashing Wave, which I don't like, Lost Days, which I do, and then a Swamp Snare Trap number 2. I'm just going to take Lost Days here. All right, next up, we've got in our colors, Northern Air Temple and Azula Always Lies. Well, that's pretty disappointing. In white, there's Razor Rings, Airbenders Reversal, and a Yip Yip. Yeah, there's just nothing here. White Lotus Hideout, which one is that? That's the lesson thing. It is. But you don't get to scry or do anything when it ETBs. I'll just take another Azula Always Lies. But I may not even run one of those, and I'm almost certainly not going to run both. Okay, Energy Bending, Octopus Form, Pirate Peddlers, and a Zuko's Exile. I guess I'll take Octopus Form here. I don't know. Maybe the Ember Island guys I want to protect or something like that. Okay. Pack 2, Pick 6, Benevolent River Spirit, which I think I'm going to take here. There's also Callous Inspector, Daily Indoctrination, and a Cat Owl. Yeah, I'll take Benevolent River Spirit. That's a perfectly fine top end card. It is a top end card though. Don't get it twisted. All right. Serpent of the Pass, Otter Penguin, and Pretending Poxbearers are our choices for Pack 2, Pick 7. How's my curve looking? Actually pretty good. Got a little wiggle room there. So I don't think I have to take the Poxbearers just to have something down on turn 2. Well, I'll take the Serpent of the Pass. I mean, I am very well supported with it because I have a ton of lessons. How many do I have right now? I've got 6 lessons already. So I can make that thing pretty sweet. Another Ember Island production. I mean, how many creatures do I have? I have 6. Like I guess I'll take it here because there's only Hog Monkey and Rumble Arena. But I don't know. The third one is starting to get very sketchy without a bunch of creatures underneath it to copy. All right. Tolls of War, Geyser Leaper, Otter Penguin. Yeah, whatever. I'll just take Otter Penguin. Don't think I'm going to play it though. And then I'll take a Callous Inspector, pack 2, pick 10. And I got another late Swamp Snare Trap. I could also take Vindictive Warden instead. I am pretty long on removal. Yeah, I'll take the Warden actually instead of the second trap. The White Lotus Hideout came by, and I got a Pirate Peddlers. Okay, so Octopus Form, Callous Inspector, Deadly Precision, and then technically Benevolent River Spirit is a 2. First time flyer. It'll quench you. 2 Azula Always Lies, an Epic Downfall, an Abandoned Attachments, a Katara, a Pirate Peddlers, a Swamp Snare Trap, a Vindictive Warden, a Foggy Swamp Hunters, a Sold Out, 3 Ember Island production, a Lost Days, and I got a Zuko's Exile last. There's also Agent of Treachery and a Serpent of the Past. Pack 3, pick 1. Professor Zay, Anthropologist, another Lost Days, another Deadly Precision. I think I want the Lost Days here. Yeah, I'm just going to take Lost Days. It's a 2-for-1 removal spell, and I have the room in my curve for it. So that does make it worth it. I like Professor Zay as well, but that's the looter, or I should say the rummager, and you can use it to get back instant or sorcery. But yeah, I'm not going to take it. Ooh, Hama the Bloodbender. What else is in this pack? This is pack 3, pick 2, by the way. Another Hunters, another Foggy Swamp Hunters, a Barrels of Blasting Jelly, and a Giant Koi. Well, we are straight up blue-black, so Hama is effectively colorless in our deck, and it's a strong card, so that's a gift. I will take Hama the Bloodbender here. It's a nice pickup. Next up, that's in white, though. Pretending Poxbearers. There's a Lightning Strike. All right, there's a Watery Grasp here. I'll take it. What I really need is a little bit more card draw, interestingly. I've got a lot of removal here, but like cards like Wanderbending Lesson would go a really long way in this deck so that I can reload after having taken out a bunch of threats on the other side, because my removal suite's really nice. So we'll take Watery Grasp. Let's see, the Spirit Oasis. I guess that technically draws a card. Well, we just keep getting more and more removal. This is Heartless Act. It's an excellent removal spell. This is pack 3, pick 4, and I'm going to take it over Canyon Crawler. So we are really well stocked up on removal. What we need are good things to copy with Ember Island production, so we don't have to rely on our opponent producing those for us, and then card draw. And anything that can draw us cards, the Abandoned Attachments is going to do a lot of work here, as we can discard redundant removal spells to try to find threats, that kind of thing. And we can even cut some removal too, because our removal is extremely good, as I mentioned. All right, here's Corrupt Court Official. I think I'm going to take it over Fire Navy, Trebuchet, and It'll Quench You number 2. I like the Court Official, and we could really use it. And here's another one. There's also what is this guy? Longfang Grand Secretariat. This is the one that whenever another creature you control or a land you control is put into a graveyard, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. That is not really where I want to be. I am going to take a second Corrupt Court Official. I guess I could have had 5 of these. That would have been kind of funny. All right, pack 3, pick 7. Sokka's Haiku, Azula Always Lies, number 3. Those are really our only options. I'll just take Sokka's Haiku, but I'm going to put it in the board, as I'm not a huge fan. Is it a lesson? Yeah, it is. Wow. This is wild. Pack 3, pick 8, Forecasting Fortune Teller. There's also Swamp Snare Trap. Pick 8? How in the world? I love that card. Okay, we actually wheeled Professor Zay, Anthropologist, as well as Energy Bending and another Vindictive Warden. I will take Professor Zay here, though. That seems like a nice pickup. And then I'm going to pick up a pack 3, pick 10, Foggy Swamp Hunters, just because. Earth Village Ruffians, that technically can go in my deck because it costs 2 and a black if I wanted to, but nah. Probably not going to play it. And then a bunch of junk to finish off here. Okay, so now this is going to be an interesting build. I think a more interesting build than the other, because the other was like, do we want to splash Sokka? And then yes or no. And then once you do that, it's just a matter of picking which cards you don't want or which ones are harder to cast. But this deck actually has currently 30 playables. And we've even got a few cards that are playable in the board, like the Otter Penguin, the Sokka's Haiku, the Earth Village Ruffian. So let's see what we've got here. I'm just going to read what the list is, and then the main thing I want to keep an eye out for is how much removal do I have, and is it too much? So our 1-drops are Octopus Form, Watery Grasp, Callous Inspector, and Deadly Precision. So already half of our ones are removal spells. Next up is First Time Flyer, Forecasting Fortune Teller, Idelquentia, Benevolent River Spirit, which is really like a 5 or a 6 or something like that. 2 Azula Always Lies, 2 Corrupt Court Official, an Epic Downfall, a Heartless Act. We got one of each of those. An Abandoned Attachments, and a Professor's Anthropologist. Okay. And then 3s are Katara. All right. Well, there's one of our card draw engines that I neglected to mention. So that's good. Pirate Peddlers, Swamp Snare Trap, and a Vindictive Warden. And then 4s are Foggy Swap Hunters and Sold Out. And then 5s are currently 2 Lost Days, 3 Ember Island Production, and a Hama the Bloodbender. And then this deck technically has 2 7-drops. One of them is actually a 7, which is Agent of Treachery, the card that we picked early there. And then Serpent of the Pass at 7, which is going to cost at least somewhat less for us. So yeah, we've got a decent amount of removal, but I guess it's not completely crazy. So cards I want to cut here. I think I would cut Octopus Form. I do have to be careful about cutting lessons because I'm going to be cutting a few of them, but Octopus Form is going to go on the chopping block. Let's say that. First Time Flyer will stay. Fortune Teller will stay. Eloquentia stays. River Spirit is a maybe. We do have 3 kind of game enders. So like Azula Always Lies, like I want to cut both of those. It's a mediocre as a removal spell. It's great as a combat trick, but I'm just not convinced that we're going to be in combat as much as that card demands. Epic Downfall, Heartless Act, 2 Corrupt Court Official, those all stay. I like Abandoned Attachments, and I think we keep Professor Zay. I'm going to put him actually on the chopping block. The double blue is a little difficult, and I haven't been blown away by the card. I mean, Rummaging is so different from looting. It's a much, much worse effect. Next up is Katara. She's in Pirate Peddlers. I think we can kill that because we don't have too much sacrifice. Swamp Snare Trap can stay probably, and then the Warden 2. At the 4-drop, we've got Foggy Swamp Hunters, which I'm going to put on the chopping block, and then Sold Out. 2 Lost Days. I think I'll put at least one of the Ember Island productions has to go. I think I can probably cut it down to just one of them stays in. It is a conditional card. They don't get particularly better in numbers, so I think we'll just keep one. And then that leaves Hama, Benevolent River Spirit, Agent of Treachery, and Serpent of the Pass. So if I cut... I need to cut 2 cards. Let's cut Foggy Swap Hunters, and then do I want to keep Professor Zay or Octopus Form? I think I'd actually rather keep Octopus Form. I mean, I do have a few expensive-ish cards, and sometimes it's just a good combat trick to just like untap something and block or save your guy. And it lets me keep an extra lesson, which puts me at 5 lessons in the deck. I don't have a ton of things that care about lessons, but I do have First Time Flyer, and I do have Serpent of the Pass. So that probably matters. I think this is the build I want. I think I want to do it suggested 9 islands because I have I have 4 double blue spells, but the thing is they all come late in the game. There's 3 of them that are 7-drops and with some cost reduction built in, and then the Ember Island production. So everything else is single colored, and I think I want to be able to get the Corrupt Court Officials and have that removal early. No, actually, maybe not. I have the removal scales well later in the game, and I do have Forecasting Fortune Teller, First Time Flyer, and Idelquentia, all that you want early. So I'm actually going to go with the 9/8 towards Island. So here's the final deck: Octopus Form, Watery Grasp, Callous Inspector, and Deadly Precision at 1. At 2, we've got First Time Flyer, Forecasting Fortune Teller, It'll Quench Ya, and 2 Corrupt Court Official, as well as Epic Downfall, Heartless Act, and Abandoned Attachments. At 3, we have Katara, Swamp Snare Trap, and then a fairly weak Vindictive Warden, but it does give us something to do with mana way late in the game, and its stats are reasonable enough that, 3 mana, 2/3 with Menace is like, sure. It's filler in this deck, though. And then we've got a Sold Out at 4. We've got 2 Lost Days and an Ember Island production, as well as Hama, the last Bloodbender, Hama the Bloodbender at 5. And then our technically 7s, but with various cost reductions, are Benevolent River Spirit, Serpent of the Past, and then the True 7. And I'm really curious to see if this card plays out well. If I get 7, it's usually devastating. It's Agent of Treachery. And then, as I said, 9 islands and 8 swamps. Okay, so those are our decks for our draft walkthrough. Hopefully they are illuminating. Our goal with these is to have some fun, but also, we want to give you an idea of how we approach these things, particularly when things change, right? They're almost immediately in a draft, first few picks in, the criteria that you use to take these cards changes pretty drastically, where if you were to blanket just take a pick order and just go off of, and a pick order, by the way, that's available online and constantly updated, called 17 lands, which is what some people do, you're going to make some pretty big mistakes. You definitely, even if you stick to the colors properly and all that, mainly because, like this deck is a good example. It needed a little more card drawn, a little more on board, right? If I opened like another Sold Out, yet I also opened, Forecasting Fortune Teller, or even like another Epic Downfall or Heartless Act later in that pack, I would have just taken the Fortune Teller, right? And Fortune Teller probably has a higher win rate technically, but we can recognize that when you do play them, Epic Downfall and Heartless Act are very, very good removal spells, really premium. They trade up almost all the time. Very efficient way to get removal going. But I have answers, right? This deck has them. So you always have to ask yourself, what does this deck need that would go against the normal, rating of a card, right? Either I have too much of that thing already, or this deck is missing certain stuff, that kind of deal. So always ask yourself that. And that's what part of what we try to show when we do these walkthroughs. So again, hopefully they are useful to you. That is going to do it for this one. If you want to find us on social media, I'm Marshall_LR, and Luis is LSV pretty much everywhere. If you want to check out our sponsor, it is ultimateguard.com. They have really great products, and cannot recommend them highly enough. Also, patreon.com/limited resources. And of course, you can find everything related to our podcast at lrcast.com. That has an archive with every episode of LR ever on it. So if you're interested in that, you can go way back in time now and find, like if they bring back a flashback set, you can listen to either the Sunset Show, which kind of gives you the broad strokes, not that much detail, but it will let you know what we liked and didn't like and how the set ended up, or you can listen to the set review, which will give you an early, like a non-experienced look at it, but at least you'll know kind of what we thought of the cards going into the format. It's all there at lrcast.com. That is going to do it for this one. We'll see you next week. Jeff, producer Jeff, help. Are we supposed to do like a sign off here or something?
What's the sign off? Oh, did you give a review of the show?
No, that's a great. I just gave a sort of an initial take. That's a great one, Jeff. Luis forced me to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender as part of my prep for the podcast, and it's been really interesting because I never ever would have voluntarily watched it. It just looked like a kid's cartoon to me, and that's fine. It has its place, but I'm pretty far from a kid at this point. But I did watch it, and at first I'll admit I was a little bit like, okay, it's a little kid's cartoon vibes or whatever. But you can tell, you can always tell when a creator has put that extra effort into world building and the lore and stuff like that. And I was talking with my friend Woody about this, and there's these types of movies and shows that I really like. And I think Airbender touches on it enough, which is that, yes, they will hold your hand for some of the story, right? Some of it's like almost comical how much they kind of go, hey, look, there's the bad guy. What we have to do now, it's like, okay, like I got that, right? But I will say that with a lot of the lore, a lot of the places they visit, a lot of the characters, there's a lot that's not said. And you have to kind of keep up and fill in the blanks. And it really creates kind of a rich environment that these characters live in. And I really enjoyed that. It makes this seem very spin-off worthy, like we could just spend a lot of time in Ba Sing Se or Amashu or any of the, with the Kyoshi or whatever, whatever tribe it is or whatever area it is. It's like, yeah, I want to kind of hang out there,
And there are a couple spin-offs in that there's a couple of novels about Kyoshi and
that's cool.
Yang Chen. And then there's
that.
a follow-up series about the Avatar after Aang.
Yeah, so is that the
Legend of Korra?
Korra, yeah. So have you seen this?
Are
you a fan? Are you an Avatar
I'm a big
fan?
I'm a big fan. Yeah, I watched it when it was coming out when I was a kid, and then went back to it recently, and I've loved it. But I think Korra is weaker, and that's not to say it's bad.
Okay.
But I think that the Last Airbender is really something special, and does like the part of it I love in particular is the character development in it is so.
It's legit.
Complex and so like real for like a kids show.
Very legit. They did a very good job with that. It completes a known arc, right? But it does so without like it actually makes you think. I mentioned it to Luis, but it really reminds me a lot of Star Wars. It really does. Like it has the hero's journey thing going, or whatever that's called. But but also just like. There are lovable comic relief characters that you just like. I don't have to think about Momo, right? Like I love Momo. Yeah. He's fun and he's going to do Momo stuff and there's no big thing, I don't want to get into spoilers for people that haven't watched, but Appa has a little bit of a different arc, but still if Appa's on the screen, I'm smiling. Right, like he's just awesome, right? And it's like you just love it.
That's I think one of the signs of how masterful it is in that like you have characters who never speak but have a personality that you get to know.
Yeah, that's right. Totally. Are you telling me Appa isn't talking to me? Like I feel Appa. He's. One last question, Jeff. Have you watched the live action Netflix version that came out last year?
I actually haven't. I'm really bad for watching TV, so I'm not a great person to ask this question to.
Okay,
I also haven't
felt
really drawn to it.
Okay, yeah. So it was interesting because I had to Google something for Airbender yesterday, and it came up that they just released the trailer for season 2 of that, and they apparently also announced season 3, which that's it. That's the whole thing.
They're going to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah. That basically they said, okay, we're going to finish it. And I was like, wait, so I can watch season 1 right now. Right. So I looked it up and it's out. It's on Netflix. So I fired it up and, it's interesting.
It's a weird one. Cause like I'm all for remakes and that kind of thing, but I just don't know if this needed it.
Agreed.
Now, again, I say that without having seen the show.
I agree with you. It is interesting though. I have to say they did a pretty good job. I was very, very, very skeptical. Like I was like, this is going to suck. Honestly, I just thought it would be terrible. Right. But then I was like, oh no, they actually put money into this, like it's not perfect or whatever, but like the worlds they're in, the effects they're in. I mean, they CGI'd the ever loving hell out of it, but like to good effect. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, this doesn't feel cheap. It feels like they paid good money for it. Characters, I mean, it's really hard because like even in a cartoon, it's similar to reading a book where you kind of fill in a lot of the blanks and it's just like really, really hard, but they did a pretty good job. But the thing is this version feels heavier.
Okay.
When you see somebody firebend and like get somebody with it, it's gnarly. Like it's
Right.
like in this show, they kind of just fall away and it's like, well, I guess he died. I don't, maybe something bad happened. They talk about, the firebenders killing people and stuff, but like you kind of see it on the show. It's like, dang, dude. Yeah. But they did a really good job. The bending particularly looks really, really cool. It really, especially earth bending where they convey the strength needed to do it. It looks like they're lifting weights. It's not just like lift your hand up and then, a boulder goes flying. It's like they're under the load of that weight is kind of how it feels, but also it feels really powerful, So yeah. Anyway, I if you do watch it, you have to tell me. But the one last thing that I'll say is when I did Google that and I saw the announcement, the thing I clicked on was the trailer, but then it was some YouTuber who, reviews this type of stuff, like kind of like an Airbender specific YouTuber. So this guy was like deep into the lore. Yeah. And they paused at like various parts to kind of show things that they had noticed or whatever. And like, I'll give you a hint. The first one was these foots going down these steps that are clearly entering is it called the Earth Rumble Arena? Whatever. The thing that the wrestlers and Toph and all that. And the first thing the YouTube guy says is, wait a minute, those stairs are made out of wood. Like we never see wooden stairs in the Earthbender's realm or whatever. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm like, I am in for the deepest of cuts here. But apparently they made some changes that this person was happy with to some of the costuming and some of the characters and stuff. Maybe based on feedback from the first season. But anyway, I'll watch it. It's got my attention enough to kind of, I'm more just curious. Like I don't need anything beyond the first, the animated, like I'm good with that. I'm thumbs up. That was enjoyable and charming and all those things. And I would give it an A.
Sweet.
For Airbender, what would you give it? The original series.
Oh, the original series.
A plus?
My friends and I, like an A plus. My friends and I use like an F through S scale. I'd give it an S easily.
It's an S tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess any show that can connect with you when you're a kid and then you can watch as an adult and not just based on pure nostalgia still enjoy it.
I must have watched it like 6 times.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Jeff. Good sign off. You did well.